Congress, has a couple of pieces of legislation that seem to be tied up in this whole debt cliff, fiscal cliff nonsense. The Mortgage Debt Relief Act of 2007, for example, if a bank writes down the amount of your mortgage, technically you got something, and that's income, and it should be taxable. But, under the Mortgage Debt Relief Act, it's not taxable, so you don't have to pay taxes on that, and that's a $1.3 billion federal tax break, basically, for mostly middle-class Americans. The Treasury Department in January tripled the incentives they pay for mortgage modifications, so the banks make 63 cents on every dollar that they write off. They have other ways that they can write off, or that they can make up much of the rest of that. What would that be, 37 cents? But, this has to be renewed. The retroactive option, making it possible to retroactively institute these changes, maybe could be done early next year. Who knows? But, there's a lot going on with this. Tanya Marchiol is on the line with us. She is the founder and president of Team Investments, Inc. Team Investments, with an S, Inc.com, INC.com is the website. And Tanya, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Thanks for joining us. Your thoughts on, actually, the note that you sent, you say this administration is not pro-home ownership. That doesn't seem to comport with, tell me why do you say that?
All right. Well, first of all, let me go back to something that you said in your intro, because I think for the first time you and I are on the same page and we agree this is going to hurt the middle class if they do not extend the Mortgage Debt Relief Act. But I do think, going to your question, that this administration is not pro-home ownership. When we were hearing the debates all through this housing debacle, which has been such a mess and has led in one of the biggest downward spirals for our economy, we have not heard a lot about housing, how they plan to fix it. We hear about the fiscal cliff, we hear about a lot of things, but we're not hearing how to fix housing. And they're not doing much to fix housing. When you look at what they are doing, they are creating a renter nation. It is a situation where they are pro-renter. And honestly, as an investor in real estate, I'm kind of okay with that to a degree. Yeah. I think that we do need, obviously, homeowners to create a good cycle.
America has gone back and forth on this over the last century, several times, actually. And, there were some significant supports that the end of the Truman administration and the first few years of the Eisenhower administration for home ownership that were associated with the GI Bill. And a lot of people, my dad was one of them, were able to buy a house because of that support, that was associated with the GI Bill. There were, but on the other hand, back during the Great Depression, there was, a lot of people who became renters, and then on the third hand, one of the things that FDR did was, because the average mortgage back in 1933, when he became president, was a 5-year exploding mortgage. Basically, they were 5-year balloon mortgages, and there was so much speculation from when the housing bubble started in 1922 until it finally popped in late 1927. There was such wild speculation. You've seen house prices literally in some states, like in California and Florida, go up 5, 6, 7 times, 700% increases in housing prices. That when that housing bubble popped, the people were basically buying a house, on these 5-year mortgages and then flipping the house before they had to pay it off. It was just pure speculation. And so what Roosevelt did when he came in is he said, we will buy those 5-year mortgages from you, even though you're underwater, and we will refinance them for 30 years. You will pay your mortgage payment to the federal government for that 30 years, and at the end you own the house. And we'll do it. We'll take the interest rate down to 2.5%. And a lot of people did that. My grandparents were among them. And a lot of people did that and ended up keeping their houses. I'm surprised this administration hasn't done something like that.
Well, and it did promote owning your house for 30 years. We are not a nation, even the homeowners that do have ownership, we are not a nation that owns our home for 30 years. We're a 5 to 10 year home ownership, and then we either upgrade or downgrade or move to something different, which is fine because it keeps the real estate market going. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about the Mortgage Debt Relief Act a little bit. If they do not extend this, it will truly hurt the middle class and hurt jobs in general, because when you really think about what this has done, this has allowed a start over. And regardless of what anybody thinks, I am of the mind that if you made a bad financial decision, get out of it and make a better one. Don't make another bad financial decision, but make a better one. And this gave people the opportunity to make a better decision. And there are still, I think that they thought we'd be completely out of the housing mess by now. And that's why they did it till the end of this year. But we're not. There's a lot of people that still need to short sale. There's a lot of people that still need to foreclose. I always say short sale, do not foreclose. But they need to do something. And there's debt there on the homeowner that they're not going to be able to pay taxes on it. So what are they going to do? They're going to go out and hire a whole bunch of IRS agents to run down these people. They're supposed to pay taxes on their debt, but they don't have it. So they're going to pay IRS agents to do this. Why don't they just forgive the debt?
Right. My point exactly. And it's a debt that in large part was encouraged and run up by these same banksters. And frankly, they made much more money on selling the derivatives of this debt than they made on the debt itself. They've already made their profit on most of these mortgages.
I agree.
Multiple times over. And so, just let them eat it. But I don't, so why are the banksters so opposed to this? Because you and I both know that if there's anybody who owns this Congress, Republican, Democrat, I don't care. If there's anybody who owns this Congress, it's the financial sector. And if they really wanted this to happen, it would have happened yesterday.
They would continue to push. I agree, and I don't know that answer, and it's a very, very good and valid question, but it's something that they absolutely need to think of. The other thing that people don't realize is even though we don't calculate certain things into, our payments, we say, can we afford it monthly, right? That's how most people buy a home. This is a situation that is going to hurt the housing market overall. And I read where the National Association of Realtors president said that housing has led 5 out of the 7 last economic recoveries.
Right.
And if housing dips again, let alone the stock market and everything else, it is just going to be a horrible situation for our economy.
But here's the flip side of that, Tanya. I would submit that at least 3 out of those 7 recoveries that were led by housing were bubble recoveries.
Oh,
but they
I
weren't
agree.
genuine recoveries. And all the rhetoric I'm hearing, and again, you're a Republican, I'm a Democrat, more or less.
Right.
I think we're probably both more independent, who lean right and left, but whatever. That it seems to me that basically since the mid 80s, virtually all of our recoveries have been based on one bubble or another, whether it's the .com bubble, whether it's the stock market bubble, whether it's a housing bubble, and a lot of that tied back to cheap credit and fast and easy money for very, very wealthy people because of very low tax rates. But the bottom line is, it sounds to me increasingly from both parties that what they're saying is, let's reinflate the bubble, and that concerns me.
It is a concern. However, I think that housing is stabilizing. So I don't see another housing bubble per se, but that doesn't mean that there's not a different kind of bubble coming. I do agree. What I do see is housing is starting to stabilize. People are actually getting a tad bit of confidence in the housing market again. And what a terrible thing to have that all deflate all over again.
Yeah, because Congress can't work this out in the fiscal cliff negotiations.
Exactly.
or any negotiations. So people should call their members of Congress and say, hey, do something about all these underwater homeowners.
The National Association of Realtors just put out a petition for all of us to sign. And if you would like me to send that to you, I absolutely can on this exact issue.
Well, you just mentioned it to 3.5 million people, and they can all easily Google it.
There you go.
So, it's not hard to find that stuff.
Tom, it feels good to agree with you.
Thank you, Tanya. It's great talking with you.